The Detroit Lions won week 1 in Arrowhead against KC, but then week 2 at home against the Seattle Seahawks took a tough loss. During that tough loss last weekend, the defense struggled immensely, and in addition to that, the Lions also suffered quite a few big injuries. So after a beatdown loss, suffering a ton of injuries, the big questions are, is this team for real? Can this team still win the North? Will the Lions still be able to compete with Atlanta, and can their defense stop their run and pass game? Last week, coverage was terrible. We all know this. Geno Smith was 32 of 41 for 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. Everyone on the Seahawks had multiple feet of separation every single play. This weekend, the Lions are going up against Desmond Ridder. Now, in my opinion, I think Geno Smith is a lot better than Desmond Ridder, but Desmond Ridder hasn't been all that terrible this year. Last week against Green Bay, he was 19 of 32 for 237 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, and he was actually making some pretty good passes. The Green Bay defense was without a few key players, but Desmond Ridder has shown a lot of improvement this season. I don't think he's to be taken lightly. It's going to be tough for the secondary, especially after an abomination of a game on Sunday. CJ Gardner-Johnson is now out for the season, and Kirby Joseph did not practice on Wednesday due to a hip injury. James Houston has also joined Emmanuel Mosley on the IR. He will be out for quite a few weeks. It's going to be tough for the secondary, and everybody is going to really need to step up. The biggest threat the Lions secondary is going to have to cover is Drake London, a very strong young wide receiver entering his second year of the league. Week 1 only had 1 target and no receptions, but last week against the Packers had 6 receptions on 8 targets. The defensive player the Lions need to step up the most is Jerry Jacobs. Last week, it was bad. 180 yards given up, 3 touchdowns, and 12 receptions. Jerry Jacobs was the exact opposite of lockdown. For some good news though, Tracy Walker will be making his first start of the season and his first start since his week 3 season-ending injury last year. And his start this Sunday will be 364 days since his injury, just 1 day under a year. I like Tracy Walker a lot. He's solid. Hopefully the Lions can get a lot out of him this week because we need it. We're going to need Cameron Sutton and Brian Branch to step up. Hopefully they can have big games. And Kirby Joseph, I think he'll still play as he continued to play against Seattle. Hopefully he gets healthy. For the linebackers, Derek Barnes has been playing good. I think he surprised a lot of people. Alex Anzalone hopefully can step up, and Jack Campbell, hopefully he can have a big game. For the defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson currently leads the league in pressures with 13, tied for first with TJ Watt. Been playing amazing, but the Lions only have 1 sack this season, and the rest of the defensive line is struggling. The Lions need to get pressure on Ridder. Just a little bit of pressure, a few sacks would be huge for this team. It's going to be a war though, because Atlanta has a strong offensive line. And the last thing this defense is going to have to prepare for, the biggest thing of them all, is the Atlanta Falcons run game. Bijan Robinson is looking like a top tier running back, and he can't be stopped by any team. And the Lions are going to have to stop him. Week 1 against Carolina, 56 yards off 10 attempts, but last week against Green Bay, 124 yards off 19 attempts, averaging 6.5 yards an attempt. Has also had 11 receptions for 75 yards in the last 2 games. He's looking nasty. Now, I do think the Lions defense stands a chance against this run game. It's going to be tough though. Last week, Kenneth Walker only had 54 yards rushing. He did break about 1,000 tackles, and Bijan Robinson is going to be a lot less forgiving than Kenneth Walker, and Seattle's offensive line was injured. But if you continue to look at the Lions' past games, Pacheco only had 54 yards rushing week 1. If you go back to last year, week 18, Jones only had 68. Montgomery in week 17, only 36. Then there was the Carolina game, week 16, let's ignore that. But week 15, Knight only 28 yards. Week 14, Cook only 36. Week 13, ETN 66. Week 12, Singletary 80, and Week 11, Barkley only 35. AG is going to have to bring up some solid game plans for Week 3. I think Bijan Robinson under 70 yards rushing and under 30 yards receiving would be a dub for the Lions. But it's not just Bijan with the run game, it's also Tyler Algier, super solid in his second year, and Desmond Ridder, a strong scrambler. One thing I feel very strongly about is that the Lions struggle to contain quarterbacks. 3rd and long, the pressure's getting there, can't take the quarterback down, and then they scramble for a 12-yard gain and pick up the first down. We saw in week 1, Patrick Mahomes had 45 yards rushing on 6 attempts. In week 2, Geno Smith had 20 yards rushing on 3 attempts. And for Atlanta, Desmond Ridder had 39 yards rushing against the Green Bay defense last week. I think the Lions can do it, but it's going to be a struggle. They're going to have to fight. This team didn't bounce back from 1-6 last year off of just luck. They fought hard, they worked hard, and they won. Even though this team is very beat up, I still have a lot of faith in this team. I think they can pull through. They're just going to have to work extremely hard, and that's what this team has been doing. We are only 2 weeks into the season. 1-1 isn't the worst record. It's a lot better than 0-2 like the Chargers, Vikings, and Bengals. Even if the Lions do lose this game, it's not the end of the season. It's an 18-week season. It would only be week 3. The Lions haven't played any NFC North opponents yet. A lot of people were very quick to throw the towel in. This team's trash. Same old Lions after a week 2 loss to Seattle. I mean, you expect it. A lot of people just can't keep their cool. It's unlucky. To me, there's still a good chance the Lions can win this game, but it's going to have to be an all-out war. The Lions are going to have to show that they really want it bad. Offensively, Montgomery did not practice on Wednesday due to a toe injury. Montgomery did not practice on Wednesday due to a thigh bruise. For Montgomery, I personally don't think he'll play. I'd honestly rather him not play and let him get healthy. He is a huge part of this offense. You know, we love Montgomery going up the middle, powering through for 6 yards. A huge workload is going to be dropped on Jahmyr Gibbs. We're going to need to see a big game from him. And Craig Reynolds is definitely going to be in there. Hopefully he can step up. For St. Brown, I think St. Brown will suit up and play. He's tough, came back into the game, still made plays. St. Brown is also a huge part of this offense. If he's out, it's going to be even harder. I think St. Brown will still play though. I read just now, St. Brown is back to practice today on Thursday. Looks like my prediction was right. Still out though, David Montgomery and Kirby Joseph. The offensive line is also beat up. Vaitai not practicing today. Frank Ragnow not practicing today, but he just doesn't practice on Wednesdays due to his turf toe. Taylor Decker not practicing today. Hopefully this offensive line can get healthy and play strong on Sunday. It's also going to be tough because we have a short week as the Lions take on Green Bay on Thursday Night Football. I'd rather get some players healthy, let them rest, maybe sit them out Sunday like Montgomery, not worsen the injuries like Joe Burrow has done with his calf, because Green Bay is going to be a big game. Honestly, I'd be okay if the Lions lost to Atlanta and beat Green Bay. Hopefully we can win both games, but I understand if we had to keep some key players out on Sunday. For the offense, I'm excited, still nervous, but I'm very excited even with the injuries. Last year, Atlanta had a bottom 10 defense in points per game allowed. Week 1, they gave up 10 to the Panthers, and they gave up 24 last week to Jordan Love and the Packers without Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. Jared Goff is playing amazing. I better not see any more Jared Goff hate. Second in the NFL with yards in attempt for 8.2, third in passer rating 109, sixth in completion percentage 71.4, and fourth in PFF grade 82.2. He's a top 5 QB in the NFL right now. And rookie tight end Sam Laporta has been a beast for the Lions so far. Throughout his first 2 games, 11 targets, 10 receptions for 102 yards for 6 first downs. I expect to see a big game from him with the Lions' offensive injuries. He's been a beast. He was throwing around Seattle defenders last week, picking up first downs like it was nothing. I think the Lions still got it. Don't count them out yet. Some of the hype has died down for the Lions. I understand that. But remember, they were a coin flip away from being 2-0. I think the Lions offense get that ball first in overtime. We drive down and score a touchdown as Seattle wasn't stopping the Lions whatsoever. So don't doubt this team. Don't hate on them. Believe in them. This is Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes' Lions. These guys fight hard. They play hard, and I believe in them. I think a solid goal or expectation would be to win at least one of the next 2 games. In the next 7 days, the Lions play twice, Atlanta and then Green Bay. If the Lions can win one of those games, that'd be huge, and then we'll have a nice long week to recover from any long-lasting injuries. I hope the Lions can win both of them. I believe they can. It's just going to be extremely tough, and they're going to have to fight hard. I think we're going to see a lot more Brian Branch, obviously a lot more Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think Montgomery will play. The rest of the secondary is going to step up, especially Jerry Jacobs. This front 7 is going to have to be tough against a strong Atlanta run game and not allow Ritter to scramble for first downs.